please. All right. We are live, potentially. Maybe we're not. I don't know. We're live at the moment, but it is episode 182, fans, of Keepin It Rio. And I am extremely excited for my guest today. This is going to be a really good episode because I really like to get people in authentic situations, and it doesn't get much more authentic than the last 15 minutes of your life. So without any hesitation, I'd like to welcome the owner and, yes, guys, the operator of Red Bottom Roofing, the one and only Siberia Duran. Welcome to the show, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to be here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the last 15 minutes of your life is about?
Well, let's see. My phone is blowing up because I underordered materials for what I thought was an 80 square. I think it's more about a 90 square roof that was going up yesterday. So trying to get a hold of ABC because it was a specialty shingle. Of course, it's not something that we can go run to Home Depot and pick up. So they close at 11. It's 10:55 right now. So I've been trying to manage that. My kids have basketball games today that I just had to look it up, and they play at 2:30. So now I got to figure out where my kids are so that we can pick them up and get them to a basketball tournament. I couldn't get logged into the StreamYard. So I've gone through 3 different devices in the last 15 minutes, going through every step that it's told me to get through. So thank goodness for my husband, because he came up here and I had to dumb it down for me.
Well, a day in the life, right? One thing I should have told you up front is everything I do is dumb. So we simplify it to the lowest possible common denominator. And it's like, oh, there you go. You press that button and it works. Yeah. And it took me like 15 different tries to get that. So
yeah, it's like I've been pressing that button the whole time. So I guess
the button it's got its own attitude, and I can appreciate that. So that is really cool. Good way to start this episode. We got a ton of energy going here, positive vibes, a day in the life of a busy entrepreneur, roofing company owner. I wanted to ask you very first and foremost, I'm looking at your website and all this stuff for your roofing company. Tell me a bit about Red Bottom Roofing. How did you guys get started with it? What was the idea that got you into the industry? And what did you hit your head on that day that made you say, hey, let me get into the roofing industry and start a company?
I get that question all the time, especially being a woman. And I straight up tell everybody it was survival. Most people get into roofing out of survival mode, probably coming out of something really difficult or a struggle or a season, and you have to make money. And I was a single mom at the time. And just a year or two prior, my 2 boys, we'd been sleeping on a couch. So we were deemed homeless, societal terms. And truly it's just I've got to feed my kids. I had to feed my children. And so a family member, asked me, just said, hey, you should get into roofing. And I said, well, I know nothing about it. It goes on a house and I can spell it. Hopefully the right way. Right. And, so I said, okay. So I jumped in, and when I jumped all in. And so just really started connecting and honestly, people like yourself, people in the industry that I just started to follow that didn't even know that they were mentoring me through the last 5 years of my life, but just watching and reading and attending and showing up in the rooms of people that I looked up to. And so a couple of years ago, I decided to branch off and start my own. And here we are. So Red Bottom Roofing. So ultimately I got in because of survival, and I stayed in.
Well, survival seems to be the common theme with roofing. Like you said, I know a lot of people that it's changed their lives, it's saved lives and done so much for so many people. And the fact of the matter is, that's what's so great about it, right? We found a thing that we can all do, and we can form a community together, and we can build each other up, and we can have a lot of fun and do a lot of great things. And I've been in the industry for 26 years, and I've heard so many stories just like that. I had to look around and figure out what to do, and this thing just showed up, and who would have known? Roofing, right? So you've been doing this now with your company for a few years, and whether you realize it or not, you are a leader in the industry, and you are someone that a ton of people look up to. And I want to say that just right on the front end, because you inspire people by going out there and leading from the front. And as a guy in the industry that's been in it for 26 years, I've seen the evolution here over the last maybe 5 to 7 years where there are more female owners in the roofing industry. And much to the chagrin of some of the old school guys or some of the people that haven't ever made it to that level, not the most popular thing with some people in our industry. So you, as a decent human being, as someone who's going out and helping people and doing things for the right reasons and got into it because you needed to feed your family, tell me a little bit about what it's like, some of the things you have to deal with on a daily basis that maybe someone like myself doesn't have to deal with, just based on the simple fact of your gender, and how that has kind of changed or maybe strengthened your view on what our industry is about.
So much to say. Well, first off, thank you. I don't see myself as a leader or any type of influence or anything like that. I will say, and I'm going to try not to cry, which is such a girl thing to do. But last week or the 2 weeks ago, whenever it was, that one particular post that went viral, the comments that were in there, the men that were kind of bashing me or women, and why do you have to, put the emphasis on women owned, blah, blah, blah. That post meant so much to me because there were so many people in this industry that supported me. Honestly, all those comments from everybody else, it didn't even faze me. I was like, it was shocking. It did shock me, but it didn't faze me. And I think what was most important that came out of that was all the support in this industry, that I didn't, I know that I'm a likable person, and,
Yeah.
And I look up to so many people, but it's one of those things that I'm like, people are paying attention, and I didn't really realize it until that day. I'm like, wow, these people are really paying attention. And I know that that's because I'm a genuine, honoring person. Like when I show up or I listen to people or I comment and then I engage, it comes from a genuine place. Like I completely respect so many people in this industry. And it just goes to show that people really are paying attention. I haven't felt until that day, honestly, I haven't felt a whole lot of pushback about being a woman owned and woman operated. What was interesting about those comments that showed up on that post that went viral is I never said that I was a woman installed. Like I'm not a woman installer. There are some out there that I respect the hell out of. Samantha Dakota, and she's the one that comes to mind. She is a badass. That is a woman installer. And I absolutely love it. And what I love about her too is that when we get into the same rooms, and I just totally fangirl over her. I'm a fangirl, and I feel good because she'll actually do the same. She's like she's such a supporter, not just of everybody in the industry, but of women. And she supports me back. So I think one of the struggles that I'm finding as being a woman owned and woman operated, I think on the operation side, what people don't really understand is that you have to be a delegator and you have to be assertive. And when you walk into rooms or builds, that delegation and that assertiveness comes out different when it's man to man. Some men just, they're going to try to one up each other every single time, not all the time, but it's different when it comes from man to man versus taking direction and delegation from a woman. And I'll be honest, I've even struggled with it in the past. I struggle having to be that delegator because I don't know how they're going to take it. And just with some things of my past, I don't do well with a man who's going to be a bully to me. So if somebody tries to one up me and, you think you can tell me what to do, and then I'm going to one up you, it makes it a little bit more difficult versus, we're men. This is what we do. We go at each other. So I feel like kind of giving the direction and delegation can be difficult.
I think that was so very well put right there. And you hit the nail on the head with it. I just think that a lot of guys just don't like to be, taking directions. And this is the industry that's filled with that, because it's like there aren't a lot of requirements. You don't have to have a lot of education or sophistication to be a roofer, quite frankly. And I've been doing it for a long enough time that I feel totally entitled to say that, because I've met a lot of people in my 26 years that are exactly like the ones that I saw in that post. And that's why I wanted to jump in immediately too, because like you say, there is so much good that I think the general public and the population doesn't even know about when it comes to what we do in our industry in specific, because the ones that are super loud are the ones that are the most obnoxious, the ones that cause the problems. And it just, kind of ruins the way things are. So I felt the same way about it when I saw how many people jumped in there and said, look, you guys just can't do what she's doing and you're mad about it. So let's just stop with that nonsense.
And I think that's the thing, is I can't do what they do, right? I'm not up, especially here in Texas, I'm not up there installing a roof. That doesn't mean I don't understand the roofing system or how an installation should go, but I'm not up there doing their job. And I would tell you, anybody who was on that roof would tell you, I am grateful that she's doing what she's doing because I get to feed my family today. I'm grateful for her and everybody like her, whether it be man or woman, that is giving us the opportunity to work. But I think that's the thing, is I don't go around dismissing what everybody else can do. And I was appreciative of the ones that came on there that said, it's very difficult to be in operations. It's very difficult to operate a company. And what they don't understand is most days, I don't know how many times this week I told my husband, I'm like, I'm done. Just close shop.
We try to get out of this thing on an hourly basis. I've been doing it for 25 years. I've been trying to quit, but it's like, I just keep coming back. Yeah. And I totally understand it. It's kind of funny when you really think about it, and it's like, there are the haves and the have-nots. And they always say haters never hate on anybody, or people that are successful never hate on anyone that's doing less.
Right.
And that's why I always view it as a huge compliment when you get a ton of people saying that you suck. And the truth of the matter is, I've never installed a roof either. Yeah. I've been in this for 26 years, but I can also say without any hesitation, any of those guys that are the real roofers or whatever that want to talk about that, if you want to go into a home with me and see which one the homeowner is going to pick, I can defeat you guys. So you better be careful, because like Sil said, it's because of the sales and the operations that these installers are here, and every single person that works in your company would probably run through walls for you. And that's really what speaks volumes for you as a person and as a business. And you know what? I'm looking at this social media. It's funny to me because you're so humble about this, but you have 28,000 followers on Facebook. Like, that's pretty damn impressive. Okay. And
let me tell you how that took off, by the way.
I got a story just like it, probably.
So it was several months ago, back in the spring. I don't know if you saw a video. Is that a Roomba?
Nice.
Babe.
Yeah.
Is that a Roomba?
No, water room.
Oh.
Roombas have actually taken over my podcast on multiple occasions previously, so I'm familiar with the Roomba.
We hadn't had a Roomba working in probably 2 years. So I'm like,
it just shows up unannounced sometimes, and it's like, all right, cool. I come home from work and my carpets are clean, and I'm like, oh yeah, that thing. I forgot. It's been just sitting there, but every once in a blue moon, it gets up and actually does what it was, put in task of doing for several $100s.
So funny. So several months ago, I don't know if you saw it, I posted a really quick video of I just done a roof inspection, and I always, like most of us, we look down, we're looking at the gutters. Well, I looked on this gutter and it was full of tennis balls. And so it was clogging the gutter. So I took I'm on the ladder, I take my little camera and I'm like, hey, watch this. Well, I pulled a ball out of the downspout, and you just see the water start flowing, and I start throwing all the other balls. And that was it. Basically, the whole thing was, I posted it just for awareness of, make sure you check your gutters. This water's backed up. That thing, there was probably 80 million views on it. I started out with I think I had 5,000 followers. That took me to the 28,000 followers that I have now. I'm like, you just never know what's going to take off. It's the wildest thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, and you know what? I've actually made an exact same video of that where I was with an adjuster in Florida and it was really backed up. And I said, "Hey, look, there's a ball," and the adjuster pulled it, and mine got like 300 views. So I get it. It's got to be the creator, right? It can't be the content.
So yeah, that one took off. And I was shocked. So then when this other one, again, fast forward, this is probably 6 or 7 months later, and it was just naturally, I genuinely was just taking a selfie, and you have followed me now. I mean, every build I'm taking a selfie and whatnot, and I'm like, what is it? And I'll never know. What is it about the algorithms that this one just so happened to take off as well? I'll never know, but thank you.
If you ever figure it out, let me know, because all the ones that went viral are the ones that I did not want people to see. Yeah. That's probably the secret.
I'll tell you one of the things that is shocking, but not. And it's funny. I just responded to a comment the other day. Is most people, their first question is, "Oh, so you and your husband have this company? Like y'all do it together? Like he's really the man behind the scene?" And there was a comment the other day on there, and I didn't respond to many of them, but I did respond to this comment the other day, and the gentleman was saying that very thing. He's like, "Oh, there's more to the story. There's got to be a husband or a dad or a brother. There's got to be a male behind it."
Right. It's impossible otherwise.
Right. And so I commented on it, and I tagged my husband. I was like, "Hey, meet my husband, Kyle. He has nothing to do with my company other than being my biggest fan and biggest supporter. Outside of that, this is why I put an emphasis on woman-owned and operated businesses, is because people like you that don't believe it could really happen."
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that you have to deal with those, but it does happen sometimes. So let's continue on with our conversation. That was a fun little entry into the roofing world, some of the things that you have to deal with as a successful owner, and now your social media sensation as well. So let me ask this. I didn't even have this question planned, but when that viral video takes off, how did that impact your business? Did you see lead increasing? Did you see people reaching out to you more and more often? Did you become more of an authority in your specific market? What happened?
So that's interesting. A lot of when it goes viral, as you know, it's not all local.
I know. So all my fans are in Ghana.
Yeah. Well, a lot of it was even from the East Coast. A lot from Maryland, a lot of comments from Illinois, and things like that. And I'm like, okay, well, I welcome y'all to keep feeding my algorithm. That's fine, because I'll keep showing up. But I did start to notice that on all my other posts are getting more engagement locally. So I have had people reach out. We just had a storm last week, so I had several people reaching out just on my Facebook, asking like, "Hey, we need an inspection." I've had a couple of women that are part of some moms groups that have reached out and just like, "Hey, we followed you, and shame on those men. I'd like for you to come look at my roof." So it did help me locally start to, like, all my organic things that I'm posting, all my content has started to boost more here on a local level.
Yeah. And there you go. That's the full intent, right? Sometimes it's just to teach, but we all do it with the hopes that somebody will watch it and say, "Hey, you know what? That'd be a good person to do my roof." So I'm glad that it has done that for you. Yeah. You just talked about some of the groups that you have. And I was looking at a video here right before we came on to the episode, and it was something that you had done recently. And you were talking about a group of women that meet, and you gifted the waitress with a huge tip. And to me, I mean, you talk about, that was kind of a teary-eye moment, even for me, just watching. I was like, damn, that's pretty powerful. Tell me a little bit about that and the idea, how that came about, and, some of the ways that you're helping people that have absolutely no expectation. You're just blessing people, like, pretty randomly, honestly.
Yeah, if it weren't probably for my husband, I'd probably give it all away. I mean, I'm such a giver. And that comes from a place of Chuck, don't make me cry.
Oh no, that's what I'm all about here. It's all about emotion and being real, right?
I come from a place, there's been struggles in my life where I had nothing. Truly had no idea how I was going to put gas in the car to get us to where we needed to go. My life looks completely different right now. And I know that that's all God. And so to be in a position to pay it forward, I remember some really hard times that I went through, and a blessing would come out of nowhere. I did have to, for a short period of time, I was waiting tables. I was bartending at a local like wing spot, and it meant the world to me when somebody would come in and even give an extra $20. I just remember thinking to myself during that, like, wow, that's a really big deal to me. There was a time around Christmas that it still is anonymous until this day, but somebody had just showed up I literally cried the night before. I'll never forget it. I went to church, just some really, really tough things going on. And it was the Tuesday before Thanksgiving, I think. And I was in church and I just sat in my car and I just cried. And, it was a great service. I'm like, God, I just know I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. And I don't know how I'm going to make it work, but I will. That very next morning, I go into where I was bartending and I was opening up shop. And the owner says, hey, somebody left this for you. They want to stay anonymous. And it was a $200 Visa gift card. And I just start bawling. And she's like, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. But if you only heard my prayers last night while I was in my car, this is a true miracle. Like, this is a miracle. And so now to be in that position to pay it forward and to be a blessing, because I remember when I was a recipient of those blessings. And so about a year and a half ago, I felt it on my spirit to get, 10 to 15 either current or past single moms or somebody who was raised by a single mom, for them that if they are in a position to be a blessing, I just said, hey, let's all get together. We can fellowship. Let's go to dinner. And then at the end of dinner, every person is responsible to pay $100 above and beyond their tab. And that $100 accumulated to $1,500. And then, and also with that, in advance, I call the establishment and I talk to management and say, hey, here's what we're doing. I need a hardworking single mom that works here. And they normally just love it. They're like, I've got the perfect mama. She's hardworking. I know her story. I'm going to assign her to your table that night. So she'll have no idea what we're up to. She just knows that she was requested specifically by us, and she'll wait on us all night. And then at the end of the night, what you saw is what happens. So I've been doing that probably about once a quarter. And I want to continue to try to do that. And it's very, very well received. But again, it comes from a place of just knowing where I've been, and those people made such an impact in my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today without those miracles. So I just want to be a miracle that somebody needs in their life.
Yes, and you are. It's absolutely amazing. And I didn't mean for you to get emotional like that. I do apologize. I just saw it, and you that was so powerful to me to watch. And I just thought, you know what? I want to get your specific words on that because it was so beautiful. So
well, I'm gonna cry no matter what. So I mean, I'm gonna cry over that. I'm gonna cry over missing shingles. It doesn't matter. I'm crying. So
okay, cool. You're not the first person I made cry on Keepin It Rio. So there was one episode that never made the air where I made someone really cry.
Oh,
and
no.
that was good. It was a very good thing, but let's talk about something a little bit more happy. Well, that is actually very happy. Let's talk about something that's not going to make you cry, though.
Okay. You'd be surprised.
My last episode, I had on the hardcore closer, Ryan Stewman.
Yeah.
I am going to make you cry again. Watch. we were talking, and it was really a cool thing because I just one day, like 2 weeks ago, went onto a Facebook post, and Ryan Stewman said, make it happen, progress, put it out into the world, whatever it is you're trying to do, just put it out. And I said, Ryan Stewman's going to be on my podcast. Well, he responded to me almost immediately and booked the thing. And the entire time for like a week, I didn't want to really tell anybody because I was like, I don't know, man, maybe this isn't real. Maybe it's like a bot. Maybe the dude's not going to show up. Who knows? I put one thing out there and then I just kind of kept it quiet, but he showed up and we had never met before. I'm not in Apex or anything like that, but we started talking about the people in the roofing industry that are in that program. And you were one of the people that I mentioned. And it was very apparent that Ryan Stewman has a great deal of respect for you and admiration. Excuse me. And I wanted to kind of ask you a little bit about your experience with that. You know, you've really said life has been life for you, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and we all have to go through a lot of things to get to where we're ultimately going. And throughout that journey, you meet people, you start to maybe learn different habits, and you start to develop yourself in different ways. And that's the first thing I thought of. You know, tell me about what led you into the Apex, how you found out about it, and what it's done to change your life.
Yeah. So I actually met Ryan probably 10, 11 years ago, through a mutual person that we know. And when I met him and he was introduced to me, I was like, this guy, I mean, come on. And so I've told him this story before. I was a total Ryan hater. I'm like, but I was following him. So it was interesting. So I'm watching everything he's doing. I'm like, man, this guy's never going to make it. Like, and I'm watching him have his, you know, he's having these smaller conferences and, but I just kept watching. And then at one point, so we attend the same church. So I've been at Elevate Life for, I don't know, 12, 13 years now. It was one service maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Our pastor, this is very common. So normally during a sermon, he'll call out somebody's name and, you know, just kind of, if he sees you, he'll call your name, or if he's using you as an example, whatever, to send a message. So he says, Ryan Stewman. And I'm thinking, Ryan goes to church? Like Ryan MF and Stewman goes to church.
That guy. Yep.
And I know this about my pastor. My pastor would not put his stamp on just anybody. And so when he spoke of Ryan, and then I was a part of, there was a particular breakfast they were having. Well, Ryan was there, and pastor had him speak in front of everybody. I'm like, okay, this guy, I need to pay a little bit closer attention to this guy because, again, I trust my pastor. And so I started to follow. And then in 2021, I reached out to one of the guys with Apex, and they called me and we talked about the program. And I was like, listen, I can't afford this. And it was the entry level. And I was like, I can't afford it. But I also knew I needed to make something work. So I was ready to kind of level up, and I didn't know how or what that was going to look like. So, but I've been following Sales Talk with Sales Pros and hearing about all this Apex stuff. And so I reached out to one of the guys and they set up a payment plan for me. I think it was $500 a month. I will say probably within, I don't know, 4 to 6 months, I had easily gotten that money. I mean, it was, so I knew I was in the right place, doing the right things and surrounding myself with the right people. And, you know, Apex has been a big contributing factor for me in the last 3 years, really more if you count how much I've been following Ryan over the years. But within my roofing business, and him creating a path on how to market and brand yourself, how to, you know, awareness on social media. So I really started going heavy in that. And so my entry level was a 2-year. So your entry level is kind of a 2-year, yada, yada. My proudest moment is when I got through that 2 years and my membership was coming up to expire or renew. I was ready to level up to the next level, which was entrepreneurs. And at that level, so again, fast forward 2 years from the time I'd started Apex to the time it came for me to renew, I was able to pay cash to enter into that next level. So I feel like that was a huge testimony. And, you know, again, he created that path for me to level up into the next one. And I didn't have to worry about a pay plan like that was a really big deal. So it's definitely helped me with my social media presence, and honestly, which led to those viral posts. Had I not followed that path that Ryan and Apex had created, I mean, most people don't really, they're not given that mentorship to help them take them to that next level.
Yeah, it's amazing. And when you see the community, I told him, I have probably 8 to 10 friends in the roofing industry that are in that group that I know of, probably more than I don't even know, but everybody's got something in common there, and it's elite level success. And I think the best part about that mindset is that, like you said, when you first start in the group, you're really just showing, hey, I need to be in something because I have the desire to improve. And I think the people that are way up here, they all started here, and it's like when you go to the gym. I was talking to this guy earlier, and he said, man, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm overweight. People will judge me. People will laugh at me. And I'm like, no, dude, that is absolutely false. The people that are in there all started where you are, or a lot of them did. And they appreciate the struggles. They appreciate the work that goes in. And they appreciate when you recognize that time in your life when it's time to move on and get better and continue to go. And there are people that are, at the very high level, and they want to help pull these people up. So tell me a little bit about some of your experiences with people within our roofing industry that have helped with your growth and development, and some of the relationships that you've been able to build just based on the fact that you were willing to step up and say, I want to get better. I need to improve. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the hard parts. And maybe I don't know if it's easier for women or not, but for me, in certain areas that I have just gotten truly vulnerable and transparent. And maybe that's, I don't know, maybe it's harder for men. But for me, being able to reach out, I mean, even just this week, you've probably, Chelsea, Favre.
Chelsea, she's going to be on my podcast at some point, she claims. We'll see.
So I spoke with her for the first time, and we've been following each other on social media. And even when I talked to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm going to be just fully transparent and vulnerable with you. Like, I'm afraid you're going to think I'm an idiot. Like, what is this girl even doing in this industry? But to get vulnerable with several people in the industry, I mean, David Taggart, who was one of the first people I started to follow in the industry, and this was 5 years ago. I truly admire him. And I've had the opportunity to be in the same rooms with him and reach out to him, and just even just for words of encouragement, or, ask questions. If I had a question on a build, like I mentioned earlier, there's so many people that I have followed that have become, they don't even know it, that they've become mentors of mine. Several women, I follow Heather Hitchcock. I admire what she's doing down in Houston. I follow Elizabeth Casadilla, and, everything that she has to offer to all of us in the industry. I highly suggest that everybody connect with her and her organization. She is phenomenal. But there's been several people that I've been able to call on and, just ask the questions and say, and put myself in a position to be vulnerable, to say, hey, this may be a dumb question, but I'm kind of facing this either, with this build, or I'm facing this with, with an insurance claim, or what's your experience in this? So I've had several people just be willing to help.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of this. And so many people are willing to do that because we know that it's going to elevate the entire industry. It's going to help people, change lives. And that is what this is all about. So I really, really, really respect and appreciate that. And I love the fact that so many people are of that mindset, because, again, the people that are haters are only hating because they can't or haven't been able to figure out how to get to the next level. The people at the next level are all helping each other. It's collaboration and competition. And, you say something about David Taggart, and he's a good friend of mine here in San Antonio. We just hung out the other day at a job site, and I just reached out and put on Facebook, hey, does anybody have a roof that I can just go to and just do some content? And it wasn't even like necessarily roofing content. It was just whatever. And we went over there, and I think the content I did that day was me taking a video of him taking a video of his sales guy taking a video of a roof.
I
And
commented on that. And like when you said that and Taggart's like, hey, I'm going to be over here at such and such time. I'm like, this is why I love you guys. Like not everybody operates that way. You know, some people would feel threatened and they would never ask you to come to their job site. And like, that's why I love you guys.
yeah, and we did that a couple years ago. When we first met, it was actually exactly like what you just described. David Taggart was here and he was moving back and forth between Dallas and San Antonio. He had his kids and he was, doing everything he could to be a successful owner, a father, do his thing. And he needed some help from somebody that could help move some furniture downstairs for him. And I told my guys, let's go help this dude. I never met him before. Roof Poppy. I see him on here. He's definitely got a character. So let's go find out. And we went over, and the first time we met was carrying some heavy ass couches down 3 flights of stairs. And we put a picture up of it, and it was amazing. Hunter Ballou from RoofCon, he shared that picture and said, how awesome is it that there are people in the industry willing to help each other in their competition, but they're here. Yeah. And again, it was like 50-50. Half the people were like, yeah, that's awesome. And you recognize the people that were saying that it was awesome are the Hunter Ballous of the world, the people that have the success. And then you had the bottom feeders on the other side that were like, I would never help my competition. Screw them. That's stupid. You guys are both idiots and we would destroy both of you. And it's like, nobody knows who y'all are. Shut up. But it's that willingness to help each other that I think is what makes our industry so beautiful. And it's one of the most underrated aspects of it. So yeah, there's definitely that. Next question I've got for you is still roofing related. You've got your business. You said, once you get into something, you're fully committed. I see your pictures on every roof that you're up on. You're taking the picture. You're climbing on roofs. For all the dudes that are hating, I mean, she climbs on roofs that I'm not climbing on. I can tell you that. And you're fully invested in your business, your team that you've put together. Tell me a little bit about your team real quick, and then I've got another question about the company. But what's your team look like at Red Bottom?
So I still really have a very small team. So there's really just 3 of us outside of the crew. So
nice.
We're small and we're growing, and honestly, we're capped out. So the team is continuing to grow. Ideally, and if anybody's watching this, my dream is to bring alongside other women, women that have struggled, women who are in that survival mode of, will I ever be able to provide? I mean, I remember crying on that couch I was sleeping on, wondering, will I ever be able to take my children on a vacation? Like, will these things ever happen? And this industry has absolutely provided that and more. And I want to be able to change somebody else's life. So now growing my team is not about me anymore. Truth of the matter is, I mean, I'm super blessed right now. And I have an amazing, amazing husband. I mean, if I wanted to, I'd just be, hey, you know what? I just don't want to work anymore. So I'm proud to be where I'm at now, that I want to do this. I want to change lives through this industry. And that's what I want my team to look like. I want to bring people alongside with me that I can change their lives and introduce them to something that could absolutely change their life and the trajectory of their family and their children's lives. I genuinely believe that this industry and Red Bottom Roofing is going to do that.
It is. There's no doubt in my mind. You've just put it out there into the world and made it real. So lives will be changed. Let me ask this. Okay. You just basically led me right into the next question. We're very good here. This is great. What's the future look like? You love what you're doing. You enjoy it. Just like every one of us, though, every single day of the week, it's like, damn, I don't need to be doing this. Why am I doing this? What the hell's wrong with me? But we do it because we love it. We're changing lives. What does your long-term plan look like for your business here in the industry? I know a lot of people are building up and then getting out. A lot of people are building up and then kind of dividing amongst their team members. Have you given any thought to what the future looks like, 5, 10, 20 years down the road after you've basically, become the most successful roofer on the face of the earth? And I'm telling people, remember that day when she had 3 people on the team on Rio Blanco or Keepin It Rio. Yeah. So what's the future look like moving forward, 3, 5, 10, 20 down the road?
You know, I want to be Raymond Little in the next 24 months. And so
Me too. Me too.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I mean, who is another person that I think so many people just truly look up to. And not just, I think for people like me and like you and people who have truly been in a struggle in their life, when you look at somebody like Raymond and you hear his story, and it truly is just a testament. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said a minute ago, what the industry can do if you put in the work. And, you know, it just provides an opportunity that is life changing. I think for me, I haven't thought 20 years down the road. I mean, you know, as we watch through social media, I think most of us, we want to be the Kurt Lenningtons and, you know, all these amazing guys who have done big, big stuff and continue to. I think for me, I'm just the next 5 years, I want to build a team that is self-sustaining. So I want to be able to still have a hand in it. But I want to build a team of people who feel fully confident that they can do this, and that I get to kind of like a proud mama, that I then can stand back and say, okay, I did these things the right way and I led them the right way. And now I can watch them. I can watch them do it themselves. I don't want to be climbing roofs in 10 years. I'm 45. I'll be 55 then. So I don't want to climb roofs. I will if I have to, but I would just want to train up. So probably in the next, I don't see myself exiting. I'm sure that's everybody's plan. That's what they want to do. And honestly, I probably don't see myself doing that because I just don't know enough about it yet. And that's just being completely honest. I haven't gotten that far yet. I really just kind of focus on the next 5 years of building up a team and a successful team and being able to lead them.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm the same way. I don't know. I can't see 20 minutes into the future, much less 20 years. But I understand that I want to help people. And I've said for the last few years, my role now is I get people that call me all the time. 3 or 4 roofers will call me any given day and ask me a question about, you know, how would you do this? Or how would you present this? Or what's this? Can you help me with this roof? And I love that. It's the greatest thing. I get to go and do consulting. I work with Mike Code, who is one of the top most respected people as far as that goes. And I've learned from the very best. And to me, that's the cool part about this is, again, I get to go visit other roofing companies and they let me come in and say, teach me. What can you teach me? I was at the Home and Garden Show in San Antonio yesterday, and a roofing guy wanted me to come teach his sales team. And it's like, you know what? I'm more than happy to do that. Yes, I'm in San Antonio. Yes, I do have a roofing business. But if we can just make the entire thing stronger, and if I can take my 26 years of experience of getting knocked down and getting back up and doing all that and help somebody that's in their early 20s that has an opportunity to do something where I wasted 15 years as a truck driver. I wish I would have learned how to sell or how to do the things now that I do. And if you can help somebody and then down the road you realize you really did something good, that's all this is to me anymore. Roofs are roofs. I've seen them. I've done them. I've traveled the country and I've been, you know, affiliated with it forever. So that's not the most important thing to me. It's the legacy. It's the impact that we're going to leave. And I think yours is literally, you know, just getting started. You're going to be one of the people that when we look back 15, 20 years from now, the women in the industry who are going to probably be dominating at that point, it's going to be a completely different situation, are going to look and say, you know what? It was because of her. It was because of the ability of you, Heather, like you said, the people that were willing to go out and do this. And it's beautiful. I really, really, really appreciate that.
We just bring such a different element.
Well, you guys are smarter than us and more eloquent. I mean, I'm not going to lie.
We're not smarter. We just listen. We listen better.
Smarter than I am, I can assure you. And I speak for all men when I say, you know, I'm a simple guy. I'm a caveman. You give me a club or whatever, and I'll go out and club a roof or two, and we're good. But I think it's a wonderful thing. The roofing companies that I've been associated with, even as recently as with Rio Blanco in the previous rendition, I worked for a female-owned operation in College Station, Texas, which was absolutely amazing. And the one thing I can say is I never got screwed out of a single paycheck. I never had to question anything. Everything was 100% on the level. everything was fully transparent. And I've seen other roofing companies that are run by dudes that are basically, writing commission sheets on napkins and doing whatever. So organization wise, I think, that's a pretty key thing. Let me ask this, as we talk about our industry and the evolution, I think that there's about to be there already is an issue with insurance, as you're well aware, in the industry. Things are getting kind of weird. Things are getting strange. Homeowners are starting to get different things happening. What do you think the future holds for the insurance restoration portion of this industry? And is that something that you look at and say, okay, I need to diversify as much as possible? I know you do more higher end roofs and stuff, but we have to also rely on that insurance money. Is it a concern of yours that, maybe we get a little too successful, we get in and we end up choking ourselves out because we have to wait on all this money on the back end from insurance, and cash flow then becomes a problem? Or do you have a plan to combat that?
No, I think that's the question everybody's asking themselves. There is definitely a lot of change happening. It's funny you asked, because even this week, as I was driving and reflecting, I'm thinking, I have to be careful of everything that I listen to and everything that I read. Because there are a lot of, hey, the sky is falling, chicken heads out there that are just,
I'm one of them.
crying about, and I will get sucked into it and I will freak myself out. And not to say I'm putting my head in the sand, because that's not what I'm doing either. I'm also just not going to freak out too soon, but it also makes me aware that I do have to diversify it. I don't think it'll stay this way forever. I think the insurance is trying to adjust as well to what the changes that they're going through. So maybe they're doing some radical changes that I don't think will last forever. So I think people are going to have to learn to diversify to weather the storm, whether that be for 3 years, 5 years or so. But especially here in Texas, and I'm in a very affluent area. A 1% on some of the houses that I'm rebuilding, or the roofs that I'm rebuilding, are $9,000. And if you're in $1 million home and you're on or $900,000 home and you have 1%, some of them may not even be that they don't have the money. It's just they were using that for Disney this year, or but they're starting to look at those things as well. And I think trying to educate them on, I understand that the deductible is really high and that may be a problem. There's solutions, but now people don't want to file claims, and then having to educate them on, well, here's how that could affect you as well. And if you don't do that, and then now you're facing a 10-year-old roof, and here's some potential things that are happening already in the industry, and here's what that may look like. So it's just a continued education for them. But yes, to diversify is definitely what I'm looking at right now, so that we can weather the storm as they adjust and as we adjust, and all the players are coming together and learning the rules, and just learning as we go.
Yeah, it's quite the adventure, and we all learn as we go. Like you say, it's constantly changing, and as soon as you think you've got it figured out, it goes a completely different direction for no real reason.
Yeah, and we have to watch it. I have to watch out what I read, because every state is different. So as I'm following the forums that I'm sure you follow as well, and I'm reading all these things from other states and what's happening, and I'm like, okay, so that's not even our state. Like, chill out. That's not even here.
Yeah, we've got, we're pretty free and flexible with our rules here, it seems, but I do think that there's going to be a little bit more, and I think there's going to be a big transfer of the way that things go versus the way that they're going to in the future. And I think it's going to happen like in the next couple years. And if you're not prepared, I've been telling people this for about a year already, if you're not prepared, it's going to hit you like a frying pan to the side of the face, and you're not going to like that feeling. So good that you're thinking ahead like that, and you've got the guidance of people that have been through this before and can also help guide you and say, hey, look, keep an eye out, because it can flip upside down very quickly. So we are coming up quickly on the 1 hour that I imposed for our time limit. And I know you got a lot of stuff to do today, so let's start winding down a little bit. Okay. The next thing I would like to ask is, if anybody is watching this program, and I've got two final questions. This is the first one. If anybody's watching this today, which I've already many episodes clearly stated, millions of people are going to watch this at some point in time. We may be gone for decades before it happens, but someone's watching in modern times. Maybe there's a young lady that saw this and is now inspired and saying, you know what? I never thought about roofing, but that's a pretty cool story. I'm in a position now where I don't feel right about my life, and I know there's more for me. I'd like to reach out to Sil. I'd like to see what I can do to maybe get into this industry, or maybe just like to follow her journey and be inspired by what she's doing. What are the best ways that people can go about following, getting a hold of, or even potentially looking into getting into our industry based on what you're doing and the inspiration that you're giving?
Definitely follow the social media platforms. As you can see, I'm very active on Facebook. But you can even call me. I mean, I put my phone number everywhere. It's on my sign, on all my posts. I think genuinely, I appreciate what you said. I want women. I want to be somebody that women look to, not just because of roofing, but because she's a woman that's overcome so many struggles. And I tell people all the time, I'm not a roofer. Like I'm, this is really my faith, but I am a child of God, and God just gave me a platform that I could share him. And through my struggles that now being, and even with these things that go viral and take off and I have a bigger audience, I truly believe that it's not because of roofing. It's because God said, I'm going to give you a platform to share me. And that can be in roofing. That can be, women that are going through divorce, single moms. I was a teenage mom. I have my fair share of stories and testimonies that I look at where I'm at now and I'm like, okay, God, like you gave me this platform of roofing so that other people can be inspired. So I genuinely want to be that for women. That's why I'm very open on social media about my testimonies and what I've been through in my past and struggles, because I want people to know that they're not alone. I'm very open about saying, hey, I'm vulnerable when I talk to other roofers. I'm vulnerable if an adjuster shows up and I'm like, hey, can I ask questions? And they may be dumb ones, just to put myself out there, because most people tend not to do that because we feel like we're going to be judged. We feel shame, we feel guilt, we feel all these things. So we end up going into hiding. And so they need at least just one person to stand up and share their testimony so that they know that they're not alone. So that was a really long answer to say, just follow me on social media.
There you go. Social media. That's terrific. And I absolutely love it. And the final question I have, I normally ask people like, what's the most messed up job you've ever had, or what's the most screwed up customer? But you've got something very unique and special. And I wanted to ask about this. And then I put a post up saying, what kind of questions should I ask? And Amy Feller, who is another female roofing company owner over New Braunfels, Texas, she asked the specific question about the message that you leave on every roof that you do. You're unique in that, I've seen the roofers that leave a Gatorade or whatever in the little thing, but you leave a specific personalized message on every single roof. And I wanted to get your insight on that and kind of tell me a little bit about it. And her question was, how do you come up with the message for each roof that you do? And what led to that? Because that's so cool. I really love that. And I know that, you've kind of given the answer already, but tell me a little bit about that.
So first off, I think what's really cool is I started doing this about 2 years ago. And then in the last 3 months or so, I've seen probably 6 other roofers, and they've tagged me, and I absolutely love it. And they're in different states, and they're like, hey, I was inspired by, Siberia, and they will tag, they'll put scripture on the roof. And I'm like, look at God work. I mean, how great is that other people are going into the world and sharing him? But again, being a woman in my faith, I pray over everything, and I'm grateful. Like I just operate in a grateful heart. And so, in every homeowner, every client, everybody I come across, I'm just like, God, thank you for placing that person in my path. Thank you that they trust me. Thank you that they see your light in me. And so I just pray. I'm like, thank you on my way to a job site. Like, God, thank you for today. I pray that you keep us all safe. Thank you for the opportunity to work with these people. And as I was praying blessings over all of it, I heard God say on my spirit that a blessing is a covering. It's a covering over somebody. When you bless them and when you pray over them, you're covering them. And I thought, just like a roof is a covering over your home. And so that's where me spray painting the scripture came to me. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to bless the roof, the covering that's going to cover this family, this roof that's going to cover. The scripture that I typically put is it's Numbers 6:24-26, and it's, may God bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and bring you peace. And so that's normally what I put as just kind of a default. I always get the homeowner's approval. So I will message them in advance and I just say, hey, this is something that I do. If it's, if it goes against your beliefs or you're not okay with it, please understand, hear my heart. I'm okay with that. I don't want to do anything that would go against what you believe. And I have not gotten not one person say no or not just in awe of it or thank you so much, Sil. I think what most people, this isn't part of the answer you're looking for, but going back to what I said earlier, that most people don't want to share their life or they go into shame or they get really quiet. I think what I have found that when I'm bold and I speak of my faith and I share with people like, hey, this is my belief, this is what I do, it kind of opens it up and gives them permission, if you will. It's almost like, oh my gosh, like I feel like thank you for saying that because now I can speak up about my faith and I can talk about my God and I can say these things and how good he is. So I think that's what's most fascinating about all of it and how well received it is. But that's how that came about. And that's how I picked that scripture. And then oftentimes they have their own. They're like, hey, I have my own favorite scripture. Will you put this one? 2 weeks ago, I had a gal who had 4 scriptures. She's like, I've got 4 of them. Will you put all of these up there? I'm like,
she had a hip roof, I hope, right? One for each slope.
I'm like shaking the can. I'm like running out of paint. I'm like, I got you, girl. I'm like, but we might run out up here.
That is amazing. And I absolutely love seeing that. You're doing so much positive for the world, for the people that you are blessing with the roofing. I know it's just a vehicle, but you're really doing a lot to help a lot of people, and it's very commendable. We're up at the hour now, so I want to say this. Thank you, number one, for being on Keepin It Rio. This has been probably my favorite episode. Well, I get people pissed off when I say that because I'm all about it. But you have been absolutely amazing as a guest. Thank you for sharing the insights to your life, and your positive energy is just something that's so infectious. Next time I'm in the area over near where you're at, I'm going to make my way to find you, and we're going to take a picture together. We're going to have lunch or something, because I just want some of that positive energy to rub off on me as well. And I can't say enough how much I appreciate, how much I respect you for what you're doing in an industry. And it is an absolute honor to just stand up and say, she's the one. And if anybody has a problem with that, y'all suck and go away. So until the next time we see each other on Keepin It Rio, ladies and gentlemen, you know what the corniest tagline in the history of the world is. So I'm about to end it with this. It is, until next time, keep on keeping it Rio. We'll see you guys.